So, I'm well aware I am a little bit late on this subject, but 2017 is gonna go down as one of the best years in gaming. Not only was there a bunch of games, there were a bunch of really good games spread all across the board, on every console, and between every single genre. And I figured, hey, I played some pretty good games in 2017. And before I get destroyed in the comments, no, I have not yet played through Persona 5 or Xenoblade 2 yet, so they won't make the list. I'm sorry, making videos is a busy thing. So, since it's finally January, and Kirby Battle Royale is not out in America yet for me to talk about, how about a nice and super casual top 10 games of 2017 list to get the year started, huh? Sound good to you? Well, good. 'Cause it's happening anyway, watch out! So Puyo Puyo Tetris isn't necessarily a 2017 game, it actually released in 2014, but we didn't get it until last year, so shut up. I love puzzle games, games where I can just lose my consciousness to getting colored shapes to drop and make combos. I live for this stuff, and a crossover between Puyo Puyo and Tetris just made a lot of sense. In terms of single player, there is actually a full story mode, and it is completely ridiculous with its premise and dialogue. It's actually really funny, but boy, it's weird. Like, the characters from the Puyo Puyo universe meet a bunch of brand new characters that are named after the Tetris pieces. Oh, this exists. The multiplayer, though, that is where it's at. There's a few modes that blend both puzzle games into one package, which does make for a really fun and exciting time. But I personally just adore regular old Tetris, and having online play with really solid matchmaking is just an easy addiction. I have spent far too much time whooping people's butts in Tetris. Puyo Puyo, on the other hand, yeah, not so much. I am well aware that many have an affection towards Tetris DS, myself included, but I think this one has probably overtaken it as the best version of Tetris. And I guess Puyo Puyo is pretty cool too. Shovel Knight just keeps on delivering. It is a perfect example of downloadable content done right. The core original game was pretty damn good. Plague of Shadows was good as well. But oh man, Spectre of Torment is fantastic. Rather than just simply adding a new character with a couple new mechanics, which is sorta like how the Plague Knight DLC was, Spectre Knight completely turns the adventure on its head and slashes the hell out of it. This has become easily my favorite form of this game yet. Spectre is just so much fun to play, and the levels are designed beautifully around his slashing mechanics. The boss fights have been completely reworked, all of the music for the levels have been remixed and they sound great, and this side story also builds a lot of lore behind the universe and the motivations of the playable character. It makes for an overall awesome package, and the craziest part, Shovel Knight still isn't fully complete. We got one more character to go. Who knows how good that'll be? Heck yeah. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is pretty cool too. I've become a big fan of Platinum Games over the years. Tell me they're working on a new hack and slash, and I'll be there before you can finish that sentence. Admittedly, I never played the original NieR. It was never on my radar. But NieR Automata, it is just so cool. It's not the best hack and slash the company ever made. Bayonetta is really hard to top. But instead, what Automata excels at is tossing in a bunch of different gameplay styles, seemingly at random, and makes it all work. The 1 second you're slashing and shooting robots, next it's a top-down looking old arcade shooter, next you're playing as a tiny robot. Yeah! The world that you play in and the story that this world tells is incredibly interesting too, playing as robotic life forms in a post-apocalyptic world, discovering just what remains of the now destroyed planet. There are some downsides, like I think the world is a bit too open and empty, there's a decent amount of backtracking, there are far too many side quests that I just could not bother with, and you'll only really know about this part if you've played the game for yourself, but there was quite a good amount of replaying these same events that you've already played. It makes sense in context, but it's still repetitive, so that's not a good thing. That being said though, the game is greater than the sum of its parts. If you skip past a lot of the optional stuff, there is a really cool adventure here, where the second half in particular is a complete roller coaster that has an ending that provides a pretty unique payoff, to say the least. It also brought back a franchise that barely anybody heard of, from the dead. Good on you, Platinum. Fire Emblem Echoes is my favorite of the 3 Fire Emblem games on 3DS. No doubt in my mind. When it comes to RPGs, a big make or break moment for me is having likable characters, and the cast in Echoes is fantastic. Just try and explain to me why May isn't great. Spoilers, sucka, you can't. I never played the original game that this is a remake of, so it was really neat seeing the unique elements of Fire Emblem Gaiden fleshed out as much as they are here. When it comes to challenge, the game is certainly not much in the way of being some master craft in terms of strategy. Like many of the battles just end up being this war of attrition. You just endlessly push your forces against theirs, and then you win. But I was engaged the entire time because the setting, the story, and the characters were all entertaining. And the dungeon crawling provided a nice change of pace too. I'm assuming that this will all be a test to how the next big Fire Emblem on Switch is gonna play out. And if you're all caught up with the Fire Emblem games on 3DS, I can say this next part with certainty. The best part is there is no weird fan service garbage. Do you remember when you just wanted to interact with somebody and then the game asked you to blow on them? Fates was really dumb. Metroid Samus Returns was interesting. Since it was a remake of Metroid 2 on Game Boy, which it's really not all that great, and which I already played a fan remake of the year prior, I wasn't necessarily pumped to play this. I, and I'm sure many of you out there, are well aware of how 2D Metroid works. And this is basically what you would expect, just now in 2.5D, there's a bit of melee combat and a ton of Metroids. That being said, however, it is still so fun and addicting. Getting power-ups and finding out just where to use them is inherently really fun to me, and it is no different here. This is pure, unadulterated Metroid goodness, just with a whole lot of Metroids. There's also some new fan service moments at the end of the game that made me just, oh so giddy. This may be a remake, but oh dude, this does such a good job fitting into some sort of series timeline. At the end of the day, it really doesn't top other 2D Metroids out there like Zero Mission and Super, but come on now, the most groundbreaking thing about this entire release? Nintendo actually put out another Metroid game, and it's fun. That about covers it. Okay, so yeah, Super Mario Odyssey is only number 5 on my list. I'm not gonna waste all of your time echoing what everyone else has said about the game already, including myself, but as you already know, the game is obviously fantastic. Between the amount of control options that Mario has and the amount of content there is to play through, it's just a whole lot of fun. Quite frankly, speedrunning the game is more fun than playing the game proper. However, what keeps the game this low on my list is just how much filler content there is here that didn't need to be. It is pretty cool that there is as many power moons to collect as there are, but there are just far too many that feel like busy work rather than getting genuine rewards. Asking me to talk to a character with a certain costume on is not rewarding, nor is finding the right place to ground pound. Realistically, they could have gotten rid of 200 or maybe even 300 of the power moons, and I don't really think anybody would have minded, especially if they then took those 500 existing power moons and had you do more fulfilling tasks to get them. And before you freak out, everybody calm down. This is just me justifying why it's not higher on my list. Mario Odyssey is still, once again, fantastic. And rather than it just being a return to sandbox Mario and nothing more, I really hope it's a blueprint for a sequel. They did that before with Galaxy. It would be pretty nice if they did it again. People are gonna kill me for this, aren't they? Alright, I know, I'm crazy. I put this above Mario. Let me explain. If you're confused by this, you really don't understand. I have wanted Crash Bandicoot to be remastered for so damn long. So yes, I do not feel any shame putting N. Sane Trilogy this high in the list. Not only is it a simple nostalgia trigger for me, but it helps that they nailed it. The original Crash Trilogy is a major part of my childhood, so all I needed here was touched up music, which is here, and gorgeous visuals, which, hot damn, that is here as well. The redone opening cutscenes too, oh my god, they are so good! I know people are pretty iffy when it comes to remakes or remasters, whatever you want to call them, but if it's done to this good of a level, with a game as classic as this, I am more than happy that they exist. Is this going to be the same type of treatment that Medieval is going to get soon? And we may see Spyro and Crash Team Racing as well? Dude, yes, please inject them into my veins. Honestly, the only reason why this is so high on the list is pure nostalgia. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And to answer the age-old question, yes, Crash Bandicoot was always this difficult, you game journalists. Oh, you drove me crazy with this. A lot of people were well aware about A Hat in Time for quite a while, but it was entirely new to me when I first played it. And oh my god, it was so damn good! When it comes to 3D platformers, A Hat in Time definitely fits what I'm interested in this genre a whole lot more than Mario did. Not only are the missions purely objective based, but the worlds that you play in are so varied in terms of how you explore them, and the amount of personality that the characters within show is just so charming. One mission, you're on a train, solving a murder, a la Paper Mario, avoiding these clueless detective crows. In another, you're doing tasks for this shadow creature because you signed a contract stating you would do so. And at the start of the game, you're beating up the Mafia. There's no beating up the Mafia in Mario Odyssey. There may be way less content than what Mario had, but what is here, to me, is far more charming and memorable, which is also more important to me as well. And despite there being less content, there is more coming in the future as DLC, so who knows how much there'll be here when it's all said and done. I don't care if you play this on PC, I don't care if you play this on console, if you like 3D platformers, especially of the PlayStation 2 generation, you really owe it to yourself to give this one a shot. Also, yes, Hat Kid is incredibly hecking cute. And if you disagree, you can just peck off. Sonic Mania is amazing. Oh, okay, fine, I'll go along with this top 10 cliche. Sonic Mania is damn near the best game in the franchise. Things that Sega themselves failed to do numerous times correctly, the excellent team of fans nailed so perfectly their first time making an official game. The level designs are fantastic and insanely replayable. I've already played through the entire game like 20 times. Visually, hot damn, I forgot games could have this many colors. And the soundtrack, oh god, T. Lopes, you. It doesn't have as much new content as I would have hoped for, with most of the zones being reused, but that would be a lot more of a problem if said reused content wasn't so much fun. There are so many times where I've popped this game back on just to play one level, and then I end up playing the entire thing again. And considering how often I already go back and play the original Sonic 2, Mania is gonna be a game that I play for many years to come. Please do another one. Please. The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. Did you expect anything else?